Well, this is a personal pleasure for me to this day. Still LSU's all-time leading passer, over 9,000 yards, 1986 through 1989. Tommy Hodson is with us. Tommy?
Hey.
Good to see you.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Well, Tommy doesn't do this often, right? So we take it as a big compliment. He's not.
You've been a good friend for a long time, so I do it for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Tommy. My first LSU games that I ever attended in 1987, this guy was playing quarterback, number 13. First game I ever went to, Florida Gators. Emmitt Smith, freshman tailback for the Gators.
Yeah.
13-10. They missed a field goal at the gun. You guys won. Those are some great memories for me. All these years later, people recognize you. They know you. What did LSU football mean, and what has it meant to you?
Well, it's been a lot for me personally. It's it's helped me in my business. It's helped my family. My kids get a kick out of, and I think it's helped them meet a lot of people, and it's been a great ride the last 35, 40 years. Just getting to experience fans really all over the country, in particular in the state, but all over the country. There's fans, and they love talking about LSU football, and there's a certain mystique here and culture that's a little different and unique than most places. So it's always a pleasure meeting people and talking to folks about it, and they love the Tigers, and I do too.
As we're sitting here, it's LSU Auburn week. Can you believe it's 35 years since you threw that pass to Eddie Fuller?
I can't. It's it's been a long time, and where the years going just seems like yesterday. I mean, I can remember dropping back to this day, and but it was a good memory. I don't remember much of the rest of the game because those are bad memories, but it was a good memory on that last drive, and certainly Eddie and I take a lot of the credit. I got to take a minute just to I want to thank the team. I mean, we played great defense that night, and I don't think the defense has gotten enough credit over the last 35 years, but it was a team effort. They held Auburn to 6 points and gave us a chance to go down and win the game at the end.
Virgil Osbury, I talked to him about the game, and he talks about how great that last drive was, but he goes, well, they only had to score one touchdown all night. I mean, we were getting on this side of the ball.
And he has a good point. That's right.
Because I remember they came in, they had a quarterback named Reggie Slack, and I remember that because he was from Milton, Florida. I was from Milton, Louisiana. I didn't know. But
he was a good player. Reggie was a good player. And they were throwing the ball. They didn't throw it as much as we did, but they were throwing it a little bit as well. And they had a decent offense, for that time, but their defense was stellar, and everybody was set up to stop the run, and everybody tried to run, and it was not as an exciting game as it is today. There's they use more of the field, and they throw the ball to all parts of the field. So we had to pick our spots back in those days, but it was a pretty slow game on both sides. Both offenses struggled to put up points and move the ball, the defensive battle.
Your friend, our friend, the late Ruffin Rodrigue, he had talked about that game and said that was by far the nastiest, best defense you guys had ever played against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were great. I mean, they had a who's who on defense, and don't quiz me on who was on. I know one of the Rocker boys was there. So, but the defense was great, and like I said a little earlier, the defenses were set up to stop the run back in those days, and for some reason, everybody tried to bang their head on the wall and run the ball. And as you could tell at the end of the game, when we started throwing the ball, we started having success on the last drive. So they're still playing their run defense, and we did the same. It's just this how football was played back in those days. So if you could complete a forward pass, you could move the ball, and if you could protect, you could move the ball back then.
Jordy Collada and I were visiting a while ago about that. I used to have the VHS tape, and I used to always watch that last drive, and I could probably at one point, I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, but I could probably, the idiot savant here, remember every play on that drive. Just off the top of my head, there was a 3rd and 5. You threw a bullet across the middle to Tony Moss where the pocket was collapsing, and he shook loose. I think the guy's helmet flew off. And then there's the 4th and 9 where the great Mike Patrick's calling the game. And he initially thought it was Ronnie Halliburton, but it was Willie Williams. who was about 20 pounds heavier than Ronnie, and he caught the ball short of the sticks.
He did. He caught it about 5 yards, and it was 4th and 9, and he extended right at the marker to gain 10 yards to make the first, to keep the drive alive. So there were a lot of great plays in that drive. And I always tell people, don't watch the first 3 quarters. Just fast forward the game to that last 5, 6, 7 minutes and start it in the 4th quarter and watch it. It's pretty good.
Eddie Fuller, after Wendell left, you threw a lot to Tony Moss, obviously, but Eddie was one of your better receivers as a running back.
He was. Back in those days, we used regular personnel, your first down personnel. It was Eddie was a good slot receiver, so he was the eye back, and so he just moved into the slot, and it almost ended like a 4 wide set because he was nifty enough and he had good hands. So the defense couldn't really substitute very much because we had regular personnel in the game, and so it made for some good matchups with Eddie in the middle against linebackers.
And not to get, I told him I wasn't going to get too big in the weeds before here, too much detail, but you ran the play to Eddie 3 times.
Yeah,
right?
we did.
There was one time at the goal line where it kind of hit him up on the shoulder pads.
Well, that was a different play. I think I did we ran it twice, I think, in that drive. That was mostly a red zone play. It was North over zip 40X snag. And we ran that quite a bit in the red zone. Out in the field, I think I did a big, like a pump fake, try to move the safety over, and Eddie was in the seam. That was a different play. That was from a double set, I think, and the touchdown play was from a trips set.
So the first time of the 2 plays, his foot's on the end line. Mm-hmm. He's out of bounds, right? I remember the announcers, "Oh, Eddie Fuller's going to have nightmares about this."
Yeah.
And then 4th and 10 from the 11, and you hadn't scored a touchdown as an offense in a long time, and I think that's what kind of makes it so special, the struggle to get to that touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Auburn's defense was just so good that night, so physical. I know they beat me up pretty good, and our offensive line did a great job on the last drive. I just think just getting a little rhythm and mixing up some of the passes and a few of the runs, just slipping and running here and there, really kind of negated the pass rush a little bit. And but they were super physical, and yeah, it just took till all we had was one drive the whole game. So yeah, they were pretty good.
Roughing, they say it's a game of inches, right? And so, and seconds and split seconds. I mean, one more split second, you're getting sacked.
Well, it looks that way when you're watching the video, but
that's what Ruffin said anyway.
yeah. Well, Ruffin, he'd like to Ruffin's a little dramatic.
Play up the drama, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it down some. That's how you play football, and I had a clear. I could step with my lead foot, and I finished the throwing motion, and shooting today's game, they probably call it roughing the pass.
Roughing the pass.
Yeah.
Throw the flag.
Yeah, they probably throw the flag.
This guy took some shots back then.
Yeah, I always tell people, did you watch what they used to do to Terry Bradshaw? They used to pick him up and slam him on his shoulder 3 seconds after he threw the ball. I said, today's game is so not physical, and it was still physical when I played, but boy, you can't even brush the quarterback after he throws now.
When Eddie catches the touchdown, you're on the ground?
Yeah, I think I am, yes.
So do you see him catch it, or how are you here? Did the earth shake, Tommy, as you laid on the ground?
Well, I was so focused on the play and the game, and I really kind of blocked out the fans. And I wasn't really super excited. The fans have always been great. I wasn't real pleased with the student section at the time. So I just. I can't remember. I think I saw the catch from the ground. I can't really remember if it doesn't come back. But
I remember this.
Yeah, I've seen it enough. I got up and did that, but I've seen it enough on video where I guess I just see it on video now. I don't see it the way I threw it.
The way you threw it, right. Harvey Williams, I talked to him like a year ago, and he told me that he was up in the dorm. He was, I don't know, maybe he was being Harvey. He was upset about something. He didn't play that year because he was rehabbing his knee. And he came down, he was wearing a Georgia shirt, he said, a red Georgia shirt for whatever reason. And he's standing behind Mike Archer watching that. And he's kind of part of that because Archer throws his hands up and Harvey's right next to him too. So, a great personality of the late 80s, Harvey Williams.
Yeah, Harvey was one of my favorite teammates. I really enjoyed playing with Harvey, and he was a lot of fun. And, he'd say a lot of things that were a little controversial at the time, and he knew a lot of things that were a little controversial at the time. But he was a good teammate and a great player. He averaged 6 points. He averaged 6 yards a carry when he was a sophomore. He was pretty special. He could catch the ball too. Nifty feet, really fast. You weren't going to catch him in the open field. And a big guy. I mean, he was 6'2" and 220, big fella.
I was at that game. It was my birthday when he played Tulane in the Dome at the end of '87, and that's when he, that old turf, terrible, right? And he planted and he blew out his knee that night. And back then, ACL, I mean, you're wiped out for a year plus.
Yeah. And he came back and had a good career and was a first-round draft pick, Kansas City Chiefs, and played, put some time in the league and was a good player, and it just shows you what kind of talent he was and how hard he worked to come back from that injury.
He did not like Marty Schottenheimer. He told me that, but he did have a very good NFL career. Wendell Davis, the chemistry you two guys had, I've talked to you about it many times, but I guess there were great pass-catch combinations before you at LSU, but it just seemed like to me in the last 40 years or whatever of LSU football, you two is kind of where it started in terms of moving as the game moved into the offensive era. Steve Spurrier taking over Florida right after that, and you would tell me, hey, we still ran the ball 65% of the time. People thought of us as a passing team, but still we didn't throw it as much as people thought. But just how did you two click?
Most people in '86 and '87 in college football they were blitzing. That was kind of in vogue, was to blitz the quarterback and put a lot of pressure and try to stop the run game that way. That played right into our hands. We had great blitz pickup. We had a good offensive line. We had smart guys that could handle different looks on defense. And Wendell was so great out of the separation. He was so great at creating separation out of the break. It just played right into his hands, played into our hands, and it was always just pitch and catch, because it was one-on-one. So you always find your best guy, and when it's one-on-one, and it's pitch and catch, and we put a lot of time in the off season and during the week too, and really timed up our man-to-man breaking routes, and kind of the rest is history. He had such a great career and caught so many passes and touchdowns, and I'm so happy that he got into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame a couple months ago. It was well deserved, and shows you how many great players there are in the state. Wendell Davis, a great two-time All-American, just now getting into Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame.
And it was the summertime work too, right? I mean, you guys went out there and threw.
We did, and everything was built on 3-step, 5-step, 7-step drop, and then his routes were he's meticulous route runner, so it was all timed up just right, and it was just a matter of dialing it up, on the tree, a 3 route, a 8 route, whatever it was, and he get out there and beat his guy.
I just want to talk to you real quick about each year. So 1986, it's crazy to look back on that Bill Ornsparger interviewed for an AD position at Florida while you guys were in the middle of fall camp. And then comes back and it's kind of gruff and acting like, well, don't ask me any questions about that. And then at the end of the year, he takes the job after the Tulane game. But you win the SEC that year. You beat Alabama on the road. Former WAFB sportscasting great Tim Brando is actually the sideline reporter for that game in 1986 at Alabama. But what do you remember about the '86 team?
'86 team was a really talented team, good team, veteran team. A lot of veterans on that squad. But we also had some juniors real strong junior class that year. Was Eric Andelsek and Nacho Awagamo. Brian Kinchin was in there. A lot of great players on that team. So good veteran leadership, good captains. I felt like I was just a piece of the puzzle. You know, I felt like I was a big part of the team, but I felt like the team was in place to make a nice run, and we did. And we ended that year, we weren't quite physical enough to handle a team like Nebraska. And I'm pretty sure, you know, that was drug-induced, drug helped that Nebraska team. But back in those days, they were just a big, strong, physical football team, and you know they got caught on a lot of that stuff. But anyway, here nor there. We got handled a little bit in the Sugar Bowl that year, and after that '86 squad. But that was a good team.
Yeah, I heard that from some of your other teammates. So you're not on that island talking about those guys were juicing, man. They were on steroids and whatever. So Nebraska wasn't good for LSU in bowl games over the years. But the '86 Kentucky, you bit through your tongue.
I did, yes. And that's the game that sort of put me on the map. Because when the stories always get bigger, but you bite through your tongue, you get a concussion, you come back in the game. You know, if I'd been playing today, they wouldn't have let me back in the game. I could barely add 2 + 2. I have a hard time adding 2 + 2 anyway. But they put me back in the game. Coach Orangeburg said, "You ready to go back in?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so." So I went back in and we went down a couple scores and won the game. And oh, he's tough, blah blah blah, whatever. So my teammates really respected that I took a shot, that kind of shot, and came back in the game. So it really, I think, solidified my job as a starter.
You were a great basketball player in high school. So you were on the team in '85. You were redshirt. So '86 is your first year playing.
I was hurt, yeah.
How much did you weigh early? You were a thin guy.
I came in at 165. I was 165 pounds. Yeah, I was really thin, and I think I finished my career about 195, 190.
Yeah.
So, I grew up a little bit and got a little thicker.
Yeah.
But I was playing basketball in high school and never really had time to eat and gain weight and work out and all that stuff. I was always active. So once I got to college, I really slowed down. Just played one sport.
So '86, you win the SEC. What do you remember about? Because we got video of you. I think you're in front of the board of supervisors with maybe one of your teammates. Different teammates went, and Mike Archer was the guy, right?
Yeah. That's the one Coach Orangeburger sort of handpicked Mike to be the coach, and all the coaches really wanted to. The coaches there, my position coach, Ed Zonebreaker, I think they all wanted Mike to be the guy. So I think it was in my best interest really to try to keep the same offensive, keep that fluid, keep the same terminology, keep the same system in place. So, I went up to the board of supervisors and asked, hey, would you have this guy, let this guy stay as coach? We'd all like him to be here.
We got video of Spurrier on campus. It's so crazy how media went back then that the guys who were up for the job actually interviewed while they were on campus with local media. I'd like to have this job. Can you imagine that today? But Spurrier was like, well, it's the state institution. Great job. Love to have it. And but Nacho told me something like he wanted in his contract that he could go to Florida whenever he wanted to, and that he was going to go to Florida no matter what. So even if LSU would have hired Steve Spurrier, he wouldn't have stayed here long or whatever. So,
well who knows?
No, we don't know.
It's history. Yeah. Who knows?
'87 is the 10-1 in 1 year, and you finished 5th in the country. What about the '87 team? What do you remember about that team?
That was the best team we had when I was here. We could play with anybody, and we tied with Ohio State, which is, God, what a tragedy, because we were at the end of the year we were so much better than they were. Just a couple of miscues here and there.
Brian Kinchin, by the way, was always open. I don't know if you know that.
He probably was. I just always wanted to throw to Wendell Davis, and so that was kind of my default position. And Brian was always open. But we had a snag route, which Wendell has an option whether he keeps running in or he can come in and go back out. And I thought he was going in, and he ran back out, and I threw the interception to the Ohio State cornerback, and somebody makes a great tackle to save the game, really, on the interception. But that was the one blemish there. Well, that was a tie, and then the Alabama game.
You were hurt.
You know, back in those days, if you didn't practice, you didn't start. That was kind of unwritten rule. And Mickey had a great career, and he was a good player. And but on that '87 team, I just wish they'd have let me start that game. But who knows? I mean, it all worked out. We ended up with a great year and finished 5th in the country. But
you came in late in the game.
I did, and I threw a couple picks, and it wasn't good. Again, it's just really funny in that Alabama LSU series back when I played. The better team always lost. Like in '86, Alabama was better than us. We beat them. '87, we were better than them. They beat us. '88 was sort of a toss-up, and then '89 they beat us, and we were better than they were in '89, but lost them. I don't know. It's just a weird series.
Yeah.
Weird 4 games.
Because Mickey had told me too that they didn't let him run the usual offense. They changed the offense for that game, and
I think they sort of hamstrung Mickey. You know, they put him in a bad spot, and probably too conservative, and didn't let him do his deal. And you always do everybody a disservice when you don't play to their strengths, and you try to play it too close to the vest sometimes. But again, that's past history and all part of the.
I think I was 10 years old, I had an LSU helmet, and I threw it down the stairs that day. That was my first season I ever watched. My parents were like, Jacques, LSU's going to lose a lot more over the years. So they're going to lose. So you need to, they don't win every single game, right? So I got spoiled really quick with the '87 team. And then you finish it with the Gator Bowl, and you were talking about blitzing, and that was all South Carolina, right? This Black Death defense, and they're coming after you. Wendell just had a field day.
He did, and everybody else did too. They played right into it, and we had a month to prepare. So we had all kind of tricks.
And you took it seriously this time, as opposed
to. We did, yeah, we did, because we were really good, and we had a senior team. I mean, we had an old team. We had a lot of guys that were past all the partying stage and all the whole deal, and I think the fans started to come to the games back in those days, to bowl games. You know, notoriously, the LSU fans didn't travel back before I played and kind of when I was playing. But I think that all changed. It's kind of that Gator Bowl, and then after the next, we went on a little dry spell there. But then when Saban came in, sort of changed the culture, and fans started traveling to bowl games.
It was the '88 team that got sunburned and had fun in Florida right before the Hall of Fame against Syracuse. That's what I had heard anyway. Had a better time that time.
Well, the worst one ever was the Liberty Bowl when I was a true freshman in 1985. Now that team, wow, it smelled like a brewery in a huddle. It was terrible. Nobody showed up to play. We played Baylor, and Baylor waxed us. That's when I was a true freshman. You
were in 17, right?
I was number 17 my first year.
I came across a clip of Tommy in the spring game wearing 17. It was like I'd seen a ghost or something. Like, what is he doing wearing?
Craig Rathjen was 13 when I got here, and gosh, he was going to be a senior when I was getting ready to start, and he couldn't play. He was hurt, couldn't play, so he gave up the number 13, and I slipped in and took it. When I was a freshman, because that was the number I wore in high school, and I liked wearing.
Well, and speaking of that, I talked to you. You were the team captain the other day before the Arkansas game. We were talking about NIL, and I'm like, you know how many number 13 jerseys they sold over here from 1986, from 1989? It was my first jersey that I had because you were wearing it, and you were like, well, I didn't even have a car.
Yeah.
I had to go to McDonald's on Dollar Day or whatever.
We used to alternate Burger King and McDonald's depending who had the dollar special on the cheeseburger. We didn't have it. Not many of us had money, and I didn't have a car. I had a car briefly in college, but I had to give it up because I couldn't afford it. And we didn't have money, but we had a lot of fun.
And you're the big man on campus, right?
Well, but that was just the way it was back in the day, and it was fun. And I wouldn't trade a thing. I had such a good time being on campus, and probably should have gone to class more. But but I had a good time being on campus.
What was it like being Tommy Hodson walking on campus in the late 80s? I mean, you got people coming up to you left and right. Can you go to class without a problem, or did you like the attention? Or?
Oh, I hated the attention. I just I love to entertain and perform on the field. I love to play, but I did not enjoy going to class and having my name called in the roll and having people turn around. It just made me uncomfortable, and I never enjoyed that part of it. But it was cool walking on campus. It was good.
How did you handle or feel about the Hodson for Heisman in '88?
You know what? Looking back on it, I'm glad we did it. I loved the poster. I think it was cool, and it's just like running for the Heisman, like promoting yourself for the Heisman seems a little odd, you know, and for an award. But that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
And it seems a little odd, and it just wasn't my nature, I don't think. I mean, awards should just happen after the fact, after you've performed, and to be a preseason, putting a campaign on in the preseason for a trophy, it seems a bit. It doesn't seem very sport-like.
Did they come to you and say, "Tom, we were thinking about doing this"?
Yeah, I think it was Jamie Kimbrough was the sports. Was that name?
Yeah,
I think it was. He was the sports information director, and he said they were going to put it together. And you know, it's fine. That's cool. And, and I love the poster. The poster was great.
I had it in my room, as a matter of fact. You just kind of wonder, as an adult looking back, hey, is that too much pressure to put on a kid? Maybe.
I don't know if it's even pressure. You know, pressure is always sort of self-imposed. You put it on yourself, and I don't think that added. I think I love this saying. It's not about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And when you don't have the Jimmies and the Joes, you're not going to win a lot of games. And you
Bill Belichick, right?
Yeah, it's you know, you could see on the 80s, looking back, you see 86, 87, 88, 89. You just look at the roster, and you could tell if you're going to win or not. Looking back, you know, you're like, where are the players? You know, who are the players?
Yeah. How did, and not to, you know, point blame, but I think you had told me one time you thought that at the end of Orange-Sparger it started to fall off a little bit with the recruiting and the Archer, or
you know, all those guys were, all the coaches on that staff, they were all good. They were all hot shots. They were all young, and they all ended up having great careers. If you look at Coach Sullivan, Coach Mangarian, Zonebreaker, Schottenheimer, Mike Nolan. I mean, they had all those guys coached in the NFL, and they coached in college football and had great careers. But they were looking out for their next move. If I'm a line coach, I want to be a coordinator. If I'm a coordinator, I want to be a head coach. I mean, if you look at all those guys, but you got to recruit in the off season, and we forgot to recruit. And if you look at our roster, it kind of tailed off. And if you look at the draft, the NFL draft always tells you how much talent you have on your team. And by the time it got to 90, 91, 92, there was nobody getting drafted. So it meant your talent was a little depleted.
88 team, you won the SEC again. You told me you didn't have a problem not going to the Sugar Bowl, even though you beat Auburn head-to-head that year, because going to New Orleans wasn't exciting for the team.
I don't know. Maybe I said that 30 years. I don't know what I said 30 years ago or 20 years ago. I can't even remember, to tell you the truth. But I don't know. Just being the Southeastern Conference champion is what I remember. Who remembers whether you went to the Sugar Bowl or the Hall of Fame game? Nobody remembers that. But they, you know, if you go to LSU and you walk around, there's some '88 championship team. And that's what everybody remembers.
Right. At least you didn't do like Ole Miss, who in 2003 didn't even go to the SEC championship and honor their team on the field the other day. I don't know if you saw that or not, but you know, 2003, Matt Malk and LSU, they beat Ole Miss head-to-head, and LSU goes to the SEC championship game. Well, Ole Miss, when they played LSU the other day, brought out their 2003 team and said they're SEC West champion, but they didn't go to Atlanta, and LSU beat them head-to-head. So it's a little interesting there.
Well, that's what we always used to Tulane, or they sing the fight song after you lose, you know, or whatever, you know. It's just that's what people who lose a lot do.
No problem with Tulane, but when you look back, some of their greatest highlights are in black and white. So, all right. Well, to wrap up here, I gotta get out of here, unfortunately. So the current LSU team, Jaden Daniels, and watching them and everything.
I think he's great. I think, gosh, I love the transformation he's made. over this last couple of years. I mean, great athlete, obviously, fast runner. He reminds me of Randall Cunningham a lot. I don't know if people say Lamar Jackson. I think he looks more like Randall Cunningham, but a better thrower. And he's become such a better player and a better thrower. I think his decision-making skills, he's getting to the second guy before he's tucking and running now. But man, when he's in the open field, he's electrifying, makes stuff happen. But his accuracy has just become really, I'm amazed at how he's transformed and become a more accurate thrower.
Yeah, awesome. Got to go. Tommy Hodson, thanks so much, man.
Yeah,
thanks for
pleasure.
coming by to do this. And number 13, always for the LSU Tigers.
Go Tigers.